Alright, what's up YouTube? Back at you with another video. Basically, so it's a new year. We are officially in 2023. And what comes with 2023 is the production of the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic. And this is a topic that I've actually been meaning to talk about since last summer, since the news came out that they were casting for the project. And I kind of wanted to hold off on it because I didn't know what was going to happen. If maybe more news was going to come out, maybe casting, news and, what I'm saying, different things like that. But nothing has come up as of yet. But what has come up is John Branca basically put out, a short video in promotion of the biopic and basically telling fans to, stay tuned and different things like that. So I'm going to check that out and I'm going to give my thoughts on the biopic. So without further ado, let's get into it.
We all know that the Michael Jackson legacy is going to live forever. The greatest entertainer who ever lived, to quote Berry Gordy. And we are so excited about the biopic. Graham King, my fellow co-producer, John McClane, and me. This biopic is going to be epic. This is the godfather of biopics. People have no idea what's coming. Just get ready. Legacy is going to live forever.
So where do I start? First of all, so we're in a generation of media and film now where we've been seeing, a decent amount of biopics on monumental artists throughout the years. They made a biopic about Queen, Freddie Mercury. They just did a movie on Elvis Presley, and that was the film that Graham King also produced or executive produced, whatever. I didn't see it, but we just got I Want to Dance with Somebody, which is the Whitney Houston biopic. And we also have the New Edition story. Right? Now, the thing with biopics is that with certain artists, you can kind of get away with getting any random person, to do it, and they can pull it off because the artistry, I should say, of that particular artist will kind of carry them through it, if you get what I'm saying. So, to portray Ralph Tresvant or Bobby Brown or Michael Bivins or Ronnie DeVoe or Johnny Gill is not necessarily that daunting of a task for an actor to undertake, right? Whitney Houston, I didn't see it yet, so I can't really make, an assessment of it, but I can only go off of when Gabrielle Denise played Whitney Houston in the Bobby Brown story, and she actually did a great job. Because the thing was, her portrayal of Whitney was more so focused on her relationship with Bobby, more so than, let's say, Whitney as a person, or let's say her performances or her artistry and all of that stuff. So I don't think it was that hard. I think she really kind of had to focus on getting that dynamic down, maybe the mannerisms and things like that, as far as between Bobby and Whitney. And as long as that translated on screen well, then, mission accomplished. I didn't like the Elvis Presley biopic just because of the fact that they kind of made Elvis Presley look like a cultural appropriator. And they showed that a lot of his inspiration came from the black artists that weren't getting, the same attention and spotlight that he was. And me as a black person, I wasn't really feeling that. But I will say, as a film itself, it wasn't a bad film, but it was really just the backstory of Elvis in relation to, let's say, again, his black contemporaries at the time. That didn't really sit well with me, so that kind of prevented me from enjoying the film like that. So my thing is this. There's so much that will go into portraying Michael Jackson than meets the eye. Because I've seen, Michael Jackson impersonators and tribute artists kind of lobby for the part on YouTube, making their little audition videos and stuff like that. And these guys are not even actors. They're not even legit actors. They're not film actors. They're not theater actors. They're not nothing. They're just Michael Jackson tribute artists. And they think, makeup and hair is pretty much gonna, equate to a good performance. And that's not even the case at all, because you gotta understand, the only good portrayal of Michael Jackson was Wylie Draper in American Dream in the 90s. And even with Wylie Draper, this wasn't a film that was only focused on him. See, that was a very large ensemble cast. So it wasn't just about Michael Jackson, but it was about the Jacksons. So he didn't have to carry the entire load of the film on his back, because you gotta understand, you had Angela Bassett, you had Terrence Howard, you had, now I forgot his name, but you had the actor that played Joe Jackson, you had Vanessa Williams, you had I don't remember his name, but he was the guy that portrayed Berry Gordy, who did a lot of, I know him from a lot of films growing up. So you had a lot of actors in that film. So, Wylie probably felt pressure, but it probably wasn't that big a deal, because again, you have fellow actors that will share in carrying the load of telling the story of the Jacksons, versus the Michael Jackson biopic. Whomever the actor is that they're going to cast as that role, he's going to be carrying the movie the entire time, because we're talking about arguably, pound for pound, the greatest entertainer, dancer, singer, performer of all time. So the expectations of this biopic are going to be damn near on par with his career and legacy in and itself. And you can't just say, oh, I'm a Michael Jackson, tribute dancer, or I'm a Michael Jackson impersonator, and I know Michael Jackson choreography, so then that means I'm qualified to play Michael Jackson. Like, that's not even the case, because I'm somebody where I grew up, watching Michael Jackson. I grew up dancing like Michael Jackson. And even me, I feel like those are two big shoes to fill. It's a law of power to avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. And the thing is, if you do a Michael Jackson biopic and you get it wrong, you're never going to be able to live it down. Because look at the guy, Flex Alexander. He played Michael Jackson for whatever freaking reason. And to this day, he still can't live it down. And needless to say, that wasn't even like a movie. That was like a straight to TV, straight to DVD film. And then everybody's still seeing that since. So what I'm saying is, the amount of eyes that are going to be on this biopic is going to be like insane. Just like how there were a lot of eyes on the Michael Jackson musical, which is great. Miles Frost, I never seen it. I've only seen, bits and pieces, on the internet. But from what I can see and from what I've heard, he did his thing. But the difference is, see, that's a musical. So it's not like this is a straight drama and then you have to capture moments cinematically that people are going to be comparing to the original. So let's say in this biopic, when they do Motown 25, people are going to be, comparing that in their minds to the original. So that means the expectations in the bar is set so high that like disappointment is damn near imminent, because who are they going to get? Wylie Draper was able to pull it off because I feel like he had, a soft-spokenness, and he looked like Michael Jackson. Honestly, when I was a kid, for a little while, I thought that was really Michael Jackson, because that's the thing. See, you have Michael Jackson, the performer, and then you have Michael Jackson, the person. And Michael Jackson, the person, is probably going to be the hardest thing, because there has never been another human being on this earth that was just like him. Like, let's say Demetrius Shipp Jr., he portrayed, Tupac. And the thing is, he got it wrong. As much as he kind of looked like Tupac a little bit, he still can't capture like the how should I say, the nuances of who Tupac was as a person. And it erred on the side of him being a caricature or a parody of Tupac, rather than, capturing the essence of who Tupac actually was off stage, off screen. Because it's not about Michael Jackson on stage. It's not. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's going to be about, can you convince people that you're Michael Jackson? Can you capture his essence in a conversation? let's say if Michael is talking to one of his close friends or his mother or something like that. See, Wylie Draper had that in his scenes with Angela Bassett. Now, granted, this is Angela Bassett. So if I'm in a scene with Angela Bassett, because she's such a phenomenal actress, her talents is already going to elevate me as a performer. So I'm already going to step my game up because, shit, this is Angela Bassett. You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, I don't know who they're going to get to be anybody in this damn film, if they're going to even be able to make it at all. Now, granted, they have started the casting process. I haven't heard anything. But again, for whomever does this, I don't know, what's really going to happen because, and then on top of that, Michael Jackson has such a vast story that I don't even know how they're going to really, get all of that in 2 hours, 2.5 hours max, because this is not Avatar. So they're not going to, get, a cut of the film at 3 hours for a Michael Jackson movie. I highly doubt that shit. Not in a movie. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to get, obviously, the Jackson 5. They're going to move up. They're probably going to do a skip. So I don't think they're going to really do all of the 70s. I think they're going to do portions of the 70s that was pivotal to Michael Jackson's, life. Is to where, the moments that they pick are going to be moments that sort of define him in the 80s. Because they're definitely going to get, the Thriller era. And I'm not sure. See, because here's my problem. Because I don't even think a Michael Jackson biopic is necessary. I feel like the Spike Lee films like Bad 25 and Off the Wall, from I think it was From Motown to Off the Wall or something like that. That was the title. Those films did a great job at honoring Michael Jackson's legacy as an artist, as a dancer, as a writer, as a performer. That's what we really need to be focused on, because there are so many ways that they could tell this story, and my biggest concern is what story that they're going to tell and how they're going to tell it. Because people are automatically going to criticize the film if they try to tell a sanitized, telling of Michael Jackson. I feel like they really just need to do more documentaries. Apparently they did one on for the 40th anniversary of Thriller. They just need to keep doing that. I mean, I don't know why they didn't just keep getting Spike Lee to do these films, because again, these are great films, and then it also, paid tribute and honor to Michael Jackson's collaborators, the people who helped bring across his vision, his artistic vision and musical vision to the world, because he didn't do it by himself. It was a lot of people behind Michael Jackson, and I feel like these people deserve to be honored too. From Bruce Swedien, the engineers, Quincy Jones, John Barnes, Brad Buxer. You know what I'm saying? Like his collaborators and people that worked with him behind the scenes. Travis Payne, Vincent Patterson. What was the? Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, but he was the choreographer. I don't know why I'm forgetting this man's name. I gotta look it up. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do him like that. Oh my gosh, what was his name? Oh my gosh, it's Michael Peters. See, and these are the people that need to share in the light that they're gonna be shining on Michael Jackson through whatever it is that they do with this biopic. And because this is my thing, and I'm pretty sure if Michael Jackson was here, he would agree. All right. When Michael Jackson was plotting his career, and I'm talking about in the late 70s into the early 80s prior to Thriller, and maybe even during Thriller, Michael Jackson didn't have it in his mind that people were going to be hyper fixated on his personal life. And especially, I know for a fact that, Michael Jackson did not want, for when he was gone, for people to be focusing on his personal life, because it's no one's business. Like, Michael Jackson was not really a guy that was inviting people into his personal life. I think if he ever did that, it's because it got to a point where the speculation got out of hand, and then he decided to bring people in, if you get what I'm saying. But I don't want them to focus so much on his personal life that we forget that this was the greatest entertainer of all time. So if they're gonna do it, I feel like they need to do it in a way where, if you are gonna, let's say, address certain things, like let's say the allegations, for instance, if they even get that far, do it in a way where people will understand. Because a lot of times people hear about these things about Michael Jackson and then they form their opinions about him without actually understanding what his motivations were or his insights were or what led him up to having those behaviors or beliefs. Because I have podcast episodes on my channel where I break it down as if I was his freaking lawyer or I actually knew him personally, because there are certain things that I just inherently understand because of my upbringing, you know, because there are certain things that Michael Jackson went through growing up as a kid, as a, you know, adolescent, that I, you know, sharing, you know, I relate to because shit, I went through that. So there are certain things about his adulthood that some people might give him the side eye, but me, I actually understand because, again, it's just certain things that if you went through it, you'll get it. But if you didn't, you won't understand. But they really need to figure out, and they don't even have a director. Like, there is no director right now for the biopic because they haven't even announced it yet. And I'm pretty sure it's because they're still planning everything out. And I still think they're figuring everything out. But I would like for them to honor him. Like, if you're going to do a Michael Jackson biopic, do the damn thing. Like, I'm talking about shot, like, just like how they did in the Bohemian Rhapsody film, where damn near shot for shot in Freddie Mercury's, you know, iconic performances, they pretty much got everything for verbatim. So I think they need to do the same exact thing with Michael Jackson. Shot for shot, everything has to be on point. And I mean, like, and there's no way that they're going to be able to do this shit without getting Michael Jackson's collaborators in on it. Like, don't do a Smooth Criminal and you don't get Vincent Patterson to come back. You see what I'm saying? Because if I'm in charge, you know, whatever budget that they got, in that budget has to be allotted to pay Vincent Patterson to come back. So that means if I'm the actor, I want to be able to work with Vincent Patterson so we can literally recreate Smooth Criminal, or at least not the whole music video, but portions of that music video. Because he literally worked on that piece, that artistic piece, you know, from scratch with Michael Jackson, from scratch. So if anybody will know how to recapture that moment, which is, again, arguably one of his best short films, it would be him. It would be him. That's like if they're gonna do, you know, a remake of They Don't Really Care About Us, get Spike Lee to come back. You know what I'm saying? Get, like, if you guys are gonna do, you know, Thriller, even if you can't get John Landis to like do some shit directly on the film, but get his get his consultation, have him come to set, and then, you know, work on certain things, like get his opinion. So get his, like, okay. So I, like, listen, if I'm the director and we're in the editing process, or if we're working on how we're gonna shoot it, if at a base minimum, I'm gonna meet up with John Landis and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. We are looking to recreate Thriller, portions of Thriller, because I'm pretty sure they're not gonna redo all his short films, but the biggest ones, they're going to recreate portions of them, I'm pretty sure. I would get his advice. If Steve Barron is alive, the director of Billie Jean, the music video, I would get him. Honestly, if they're gonna do, you know, let's say Beat It, get Bob Giraldi. Get these people in there. So if you're gonna do it, I would do it is to where Michael Jackson will be proud, because he's like, wow, he actually went and got all my people that I worked with on these things to recreate it again. That's what you need to do. That's like in the New Edition story, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they worked on the music for the New Edition story. So they recreated Can You Stand the Rain. So they need to do the same thing for this, you know, but a bigger scale, because this is Michael Jackson we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? He's the reason why New Edition even exists. He's the reason why the industry as we know it exists. So if you're going to do it to the 10th power. You know what I'm saying? Do it to the 100th power. Yeah, so I don't know who I think that they should get, because, all right, so I've heard through the grapevine, I've heard Alton Mason, who he's like a top, you know, model, you know, or something like that, and he's a guy that likes Michael Jackson. Frankly, I wasn't really impressed when I saw him dance like Michael Jackson. Like, I think he did like a twirl and then like the weakest toe stand ever. So I don't know if he actually really has that dancing ability, which I'm pretty sure he does because Lorianne Gibson knows him. And I've also seen people say that all of a sudden Jabari Banks from Bel Air should do Michael Jackson. Now, the reason why people are saying that is because he actually had a pretty good or convincing Halloween costume where he had somebody do makeup on his face so that way they could recreate the popcorn shot from Thriller. Now, that don't mean just because he took a picture means that he could actually be Michael Jackson. Like, yeah, it's just, nah, like, even if you looked the part, like, even the most convincing impersonators still couldn't do it because you need the acting chops. And that's some shit that you just can't, like, just gloss over. Like, you can't do it. You can't do it because whomever is going to be the star of this film is going to carry this movie. Facts. He's going to carry this movie on his back. And, like, let's say the actor who portrayed Elvis, he said throughout pre-production, throughout basically the whole project, he was nervous. Why? Because he's portraying, again, one of the forefathers of music today. You know what I'm saying? Because Elvis created the lane for the Justin Biebers and the Justin Timberlakes and the white counterparts to black artists. So, you know, there's a certain level of pressure that's going to come with that. You know, but these people, they have to understand the assignment. Like, if nothing else, and it would bother me if they just get like random actors, like, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just get like randoms who, you know, their understanding of the Jacksons is just, oh yeah, I went on YouTube and I watched a couple of interviews. Like, I'm talking about like, I don't know, like, get people who really can lock in on the project, because if they don't, it's gonna show. Because Michael Jackson has a fan base of fans, and he's the only artist that's like that, where every fan feels that they have their own reasons for loving Michael Jackson and resonating with him, honestly, beyond his music. And I'm one of them, so it's like I know what I'm talking about. And when you do something like that, we're gonna see the very minute things that, let's say, casuals are not gonna see. See, this is what I'm saying. See, Whitney Houston, the Whitney Houston biopic, like, that's some shit that they can get away with doing a bad job, but people are not going to really realize it, because yes, Whitney Houston has a fan base, but she don't have a fan base like Michael Jackson, where they're going to nitpick. Okay, because there's a lot of people who love Michael Jackson, you know, saying, to pieces, and I'm one of them. So I'm gonna be pissed off if they do the shit and it's trash. But they gotta pull out all the stops, like get some really great actors in there. So just like how they had Angela Bassett back in the day, you need some this is the thing, you need a strong supporting cast. So if you have the actors that played his brothers, they gotta be strong actors. You know, the actor that's gonna play Joe Jackson, he's gotta be a strong actor. His mother, it's the same thing, because you wanna really recapture what these relationships meant to Michael Jackson. It's like Michael Jackson had a very close relationship with his mother, and you want to capture that softness and sensitivity. And the actress, the woman who plays that part, who takes on the role, she has to be able to you know, show or illustrate and emote the softness that Katherine had for Michael Jackson that no one else had. No one else loved that man like his mother. And you could just tell the way that she talked about him and the way that he talked about her, how Katherine was his, you know, version of perfection. When he thought of perfection, he thought of his mother. And you look at his father, it's the same thing. This, whoever that is, he has to have that unspoken, like, intensity about him. Because, you know, if you have a shitty father, you know, like the bad dads out there in the world, they just have that thing where they could just be sitting there and then they just look intimidating. Now, I wasn't intimidated by Joe Jackson, obviously, because he wasn't my father, but they need to get people that are gonna, you know, really lock in on the story. Because, again, when he's not, you have to be able to keep people's attention when it's not music related. So when he's not performing, when he gets off stage, that's when everything really matters. Because let's say if I'm an actor and then they asked me to do Michael Jackson, like to portray the role. The performances is the easy part, you know, because the biggest thing with dancing like Michael Jackson, a lot of people don't understand, it's not about the moves. Like, people don't get it, and I see a lot of people dance, and it's not about the moves. It's not about the kick or spinning or moonwalking or gliding. It's not about that. See, people hyper fixate themselves on the moves, and then they forget everything else. What actually, you know, animates the moves, what actually brings that performance to the next level. Because there's a big difference between Michael Jackson as a performer and every other performer that came after him. There was that X factor that set him apart from everybody else. I know what that is, and I feel like that's not hard, because I do that on my own anyway. But the challenge, the artistic challenge, would be, again, portraying the man. You know, Michael Jackson had a way of speaking, you know, and you don't want to just, you know, pretend to sound like him, because it's going to show. Like, a lot of this shit, you kind of have to have innately within you in order to wear those shoes. And again, that's not something that, you know, just anybody can do. I'm not sure what they're going to do, who they're going to get, what kind of story they're going to tell. But those are just the things that I think are necessary. Like, those are elements that I feel are necessary in order for this film to be a success in my eyes. I don't know about anybody else, but in my eyes, that's what they need to do. Also, another thing, in 1993 and in 2000 and in the early 2000s, you know, during the two allegations that happened, if y'all are gonna do that, if you're gonna cover that, humanize this man, because, and that is gonna rest on, again, the writers, the director, and the actor portraying Michael Jackson. Because when you look at a lot of the things like the media covers over that, you know, time span, 93 and again 2004, 2005, it's hard to really sift through and really capture what Michael Jackson was going through, you know, like, because and I'm not saying that this is supposed to change people's minds because this is the thing, people who made up their minds about Michael Jackson really have no business seeing this movie, you know. But let's say for us as the fans, it should really give us insight on what he was going through. And you got to talk to whomever this actor is. These people, they really got to dig deep. They got to dig deep. Because for this film to be in production this year, if they're going to be shooting it this year, then that means it's coming out next year. So by the time next year comes around, you know, when the trailer drops, I should be like, yo, like, okay, cool. But if the trailer comes out and I'm not feeling it, it's going to show. It's going to show. Because Michael Jackson damn near was the freaking, like, 8th wonder of the world, or the 9th wonder of the world. This man was larger than life. In a room of A-lister celebrities, Michael Jackson was in a class of his own. Just look at We Are the World. There was all the celebrities, and then there was him. You see what I'm saying? And, like, you have to capture that. And it's going to be very hard to do that, especially if you wasn't somebody growing up watching Michael Jackson, like studying Michael Jackson. Like, you're not really gonna get that. I mean, you might can, you know, but again, it's not a situation like the musical where it's a musical. You know, I don't know how, because it's a musical, they're performing music numbers. I think there is some dialogue in it, but I'm not sure how in depth they actually went into, you know, Michael Jackson as a person. You know, I don't know. I didn't see it. You know, I have very high expectations for this film, and I feel like if they get it wrong, it's going to be a waste of a budget. And I feel like whatever budget, you know, X amount of millions that they're going to throw at this project, for them to get it wrong, it would just make me wish that they just cut a smaller check and greenlit Spike Lee to do a Thriller documentary, or a Dangerous documentary, or a Blood on the Dance Floor documentary, or Blood on the Dance Floor documentary, or Invincible, and so on and so forth. Because there are so many layers to Michael Jackson's career that shit, honestly, from the damn, you know, from freaking, you know, Gary, Indiana to The Wiz could be a movie by itself. you know, from 1980 to 1984, 85 could just be a movie by itself. So, again, they need to get the right actor to do it. I don't know who they're going to get, because even me, I'm an actor. That is a very big task, you know, and it's not one that any actor, you know, should take lightly. Like, for y'all impersonators out there that thought y'all could just, oh yeah, I'm gonna do an audition on YouTube and people are just gonna rock with it because you kind of sort of look the part, or you think you look the part. It doesn't work like that, because you need an actor. You need a real actor. That's one. And then, you know, it's just so much that goes into that. Two, they need a very strong supporting cast. So whomever that actor is needs a very strong supporting cast to support him through the telling of the story. Three, they need to get all Michael Jackson's collaborators in on this project to do that. So if it's a situation where they're not using, like stock vocals, like Michael Jackson's vocals, they need to get, you know, Quincy to come back in the studio and re-record these songs. If they're going to do that, which I highly doubt that. But if they do, that's what they need to do. The people that have worked with Michael Jackson, you know, longtime collaborators, these people need to be a part of this project. If you do not have their blessing, there's going to be a piece of Michael Jackson's soul, you know, of what made him who he was as an artist, as an entertainer, dancer, singer, that is going to be missing and is going to stick out like a sore thumb. 4 or 5, they need to recreate every single film, performance, shot for shot. They need to do everything right, because Michael Jackson was a perfectionist. So this film has to have an element of that perfectionism that defined his career from start to finish. It needs to have that. Otherwise, again, it's going to be a problem. 5 or 6, they need to humanize Michael Jackson and honor him. So if at any point they're going to be covering sensitive topics or material, whether it has to do with his family or has to do with his personal life, his love life, whatever, they need to tell it from an instance that, let's say, to somebody who doesn't know better, they need to walk away from it understanding, like, wow, I never really knew that about Michael Jackson. Like, I never knew that this was, you know, that was his way of saying things, or this was how he really felt, or that's why he was doing the things that he was doing. You know, they need to walk away from this with an understanding. This film has to be a love letter to Michael Jackson. Honestly, it has to be a love letter and a thank you letter to everything Michael Jackson has ever done in his career, in his life, because this man has touched so many people since he was a little kid. And then the amount of lives that he still touches is, without him even being here, is just out of this world. So, and it has to show. You can't cut no corners. Like that Thriller 40 cover that they did, they could have done better than that. They cut some corners. Y'all cut some corners. Y'all need to do a better job. Another thing, the Jackson family, they have to be a part of this too. That's just non-negotiable, including his brothers. They have to be a part of it. I'm talking about, like, they need to be there at the rehearsals. They need to be consultants, performance consultants, you know, because again, these, like, there's no way you could tell this story without having these people be involved. And I don't know if, like, what they're planning, but if I was in charge, so if they said, Dimitri, you are the producer, or you're the executive producer, or whatever, which I think it's either one or the other, you know, or maybe even the director, I don't know. But let's say if I'm a director or producer, or director and producer, these are the things that I'm gonna do. So whomever, like Lionsgate, if they cut the check, the budget has to reflect all of these different things, because I have to bring these people in there, because they say that you are the sum of the people that you associate with, and Michael Jackson was no exception to the fact, you know. So this film has to incorporate the elements of who, you know, encompass Michael Jackson's life. And who else but his family to be a part of that? I'm not saying that they gotta, be in charge of how they tell the story, but they gotta be a part of that. So when they're doing interviews and all of that, I don't want to hear the Jackson family saying, yeah, oh, they didn't even call us, because I know how shit be sometimes. They'd be like, yeah, like, they didn't even call me. Janet, like, Latoya, Reby, Jackie, Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, Randy. Like, you need these people. You need these people. Unfortunately, Joe Jackson isn't here, but Katherine is still here. And even the littlest contribution from her would mean the world to that particular project. Not no fake celebrities that, didn't step up for Michael Jackson, when he was really going through it. Because I could go through the list, but we all know who these people are. I don't want the people who pretend they love Michael Jackson, but again, when he could have used, an extra celebrity cosign, these people were nowhere to be found. Shit, you might want to get Chris Tucker up in there. I want to see Chris Tucker on set. I need everybody, all hands on deck for this. You got to do it right, because again, if I'm in charge, you got to do it right. You got to do it right. Like, I'm pulling out all the stops, so that way there's no stone left unturned as far as, this project is concerned. Let me see something real quick. Okay, now I was just double checking just to see if Michael Bushe is still alive, because I haven't heard or anything, whatever, but I actually have his book. Bring him in. Because another thing, what made Michael Jackson so iconic and legendary was the clothes that he would wear. Bring Michael Bushe in. So he literally, the same level of detail that he paid to every single piece of clothing that he made for Michael Jackson, we need that in this project. Or even if he's not doing everything, but he's going to be in charge of the people that are doing this. Cut the check. Like I said, if we're going to cut the check. Or they got to write a blank one. They got to give, like, if I was in charge, they got to give me a blank check. And then after all the expenses, I'll take it to Sony, because Sony makes billions of dollars, or whomever's in charge make billions of dollars in revenue. They got the money for that. Because it's not going to take, let's say, honestly, for me to tell this story, it would take me a relative blockbuster budget. So give me like MCU money budget. Like, give me MCU film money. And then, I could tell the story, honestly, the way that I feel like it should be told. What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. Yeah, but I think that's as in detail as it goes, or that's the vision that I have, or the agenda that I would have being in charge of, or being a part of the Michael Jackson biopic project. I can't say I'm looking forward to a trailer, because I don't know what it's going to come out as. And granted, seeing the previous iterations or recent years of, Jackson related biopics and stuff like that, I wasn't really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking like, they, like, in order to pick the actor, they got to get all his brothers in on the rehearsal. I'm talking about, like, because when you're an actor and you get cast in these really huge projects and stuff like that, you have screen tests, you got like 8 callbacks and stuff like that, you got chemistry reads, you got all of this stuff. Vincent Patterson, bring him in. The Jackson brothers, bring them in. Janet, bring her in, because they're gonna know whomever this person has what it takes to really capture who their brother was, because they performed with him. So they would know that. Because like I said, me, you give me a stage, you give me like the right lighting and the outfits and stuff like that, I could do it. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so those are my thoughts, and though this video kind of went, pretty long. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe. As new updates as far as the biopic is concerned, I'll more than likely chime in on it. And without saying much more, I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Good luck.